Train the muscles, not the joints. So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about another piece of stupidity that is perpetuated by some people in the fitness community. Honestly, it's just frustrating sometimes, the amount of stupidity I see. Seriously, I don't even know where to begin, honestly. It's just crazy. But anyway, here was the piece of ignorance that was perpetuated by somebody that has not been in the game for 20 or 30 years. This person said that they're not afraid of tearing a muscle because they're drug-free, and therefore because they're drug-free they won't be able to tear a muscle. It won't happen, right? So there is this myth that goes on that the only way a person can actually tear a muscle is if they are not a drug-free athlete. Some people think that if you're a drug-free athlete, that naturally momentum or the laws of physics do not apply to you, and then tearing muscles just doesn't happen. So basically no athlete ever tore a muscle or ever tore any sort of muscle whatsoever in their lower back or in their hamstring or in any sort of major muscle group before the use of performance enhancing drugs. Now this is BS, because there's a number of different factors that can affect whether a muscle tears or not. One is momentum, and the other is stretch, and another can be instability of a joint, right? So if a joint is unstable and such muscle is supporting that joint, then that muscle may be prone to a stretch and then an overstretch all of a sudden. So it stretches beyond its range, and then maybe there's a pop or maybe there's a tear of some sort. So there is a possibility for natural athletes to tear muscles if you do a movement with either too much stress, too much momentum, too much weight, or you go beyond a range of motion that is right for your specific condition. Maybe you have a shoulder that's unstable, or maybe you have a hip that's unstable, or a knee or something like that. So this does happen to athletes all the time. Torn muscles did exist before performance enhancing drugs, so just so you know, it does happen. It just may happen less for natural people, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen at all, right? So I find that there are some subtle slander techniques that are going on in social media where people make statements that aren't true in order to slander certain people that may, let's just say, have more results than they do or something like that. So a lot of times these statements are also made by people still in their 20s. And the fact is, when I was in my 20s, I had some ideas about training too. I had some ideas. I thought, okay, this can't happen because I'm a natural athlete. That can't happen because of such and such. And this, I would make these false leaps of logic because I hadn't had the experience. I hadn't trained for 20 or 30 years to actually see different instances or different things happen with different people or different athletes, or even with myself. Sometimes you need to go through something before you learn about it. So unfortunately in this time of social media, there's a lot of people talking about stuff, about how to do things that they haven't done. There's a lot of people trying to teach how to do something that they have not done or have not accomplished yet. And because of this, there's a lot of incorrect stuff being perpetuated. So it's kind of like somebody saying, here's how you train as a 50-year-old as a bodybuilder. Meanwhile, the person's 20 years old. They haven't even experienced what it's like to be 50, and they're telling everybody at 50 how to train. That information is going to be a little bit more credible if it comes from a 50-year-old as opposed to coming from a 20-year-old who hasn't experienced the aging process, right? So these are the things that you have to watch out for. Sam Weller is the comic book artist that made my shirts, Gallantians of the Galaxy or whatever. So really talented artist. But today, I'm not going to show you what I draw, but I'm going to prove to you, through not showing at all, that I'm a better artist than Sam. So if you're going to take advice from somebody, at least make sure that they accomplished what it is that you're looking for advice about. You know, if you're looking for advice about how to, I don't know, make a hat. Make sure the person's actually made a hat before instead of actually telling you about what they read about or what they think or what they theorize. Information's a lot more credible when it comes from a place of experience than somebody just surmising something or just making up whatever they want to make up in order to make themselves look good. Like there's some obvious examples in the fitness community that have not achieved anything in fitness whatsoever, including getting in shape, and they're being listened to by some people. So I still don't understand the logic around that. I don't understand why we have a certain amount of people that will listen to somebody who hasn't produced a result, but it seems to be the age where people listen to people that haven't produced results. I have no idea what that's about. So yeah, can you tear a muscle as a natural person? Yes, you can. I mean, in my case, it was a different sort of situation where my arm can hyperextend, and then person pulled on my arm funny, and then I resisted. And if I take your legs and I rip them apart as hard as I can while you're resisting, you're going to tear a muscle, I guarantee you. So just because you're natural or drug-free doesn't mean you're not going to tear a muscle. So yeah, I hope this helps you in your training. I hope it helps you understand that, yeah, you do have the risk, although the risk of tearing a muscle as a natural person is much less, because once again, you do have more inflammation in the joints. You do get more inflammation from training and stuff, and then you do get that healing effect in the tendons and ligaments. And you know, people that are using certain substances, those things work as anti-inflammatory. So sometimes the muscles do start to grow, and then the joints don't catch up in the healing process, because inflammation to a certain point does actually help heal the joints. It doesn't mean that you are exonerated from any responsibility. You are going to be able to tear a muscle if you do something too extreme, such as range of motion or weight or velocity at some point, right? So yeah, so just be careful in your training. The 1 rep maxes are definitely something to be careful with, along with 1 rep maxes with extreme velocity. And also, if you throw in a third thing, 1 rep max, velocity, and in stable situations, that's going to be the triple hit combo for a muscle tear. So just be careful under those conditions. Make sure you're really warmed up, and make sure, well, just make sure you avoid 1 rep maxes and unstable environments altogether if you can. So I hope this helps you out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching, and if you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. And thanks a lot to the patient supporters, and take care for now.